Laozi. Prologue. The day he left Hangu Pass. One evening, as the sun leaned slowly toward the west, an old man rode an aged ox and headed quietly toward the border. Deep wrinkles, carved by time, ran across his face. And yet, within that weathered skin, his eyes remained alive. Calm, deep, and still, as if nothing in the world could disturb them. Without a word, he sat on the ox's back and looked toward the distant mountains. At last, he reached the high stone walls of Hangu Pass, washed in the red light of sunset. Just as he was about to pass through the gate, the gatekeeper, Yin Xi, called out and stopped him. "Sir, please wait. May I ask where you are going?" The old man lifted his head, looked at him, and answered simply, "To the west." In that gaze, Yin Xi sensed something extraordinary. Clear and deep, like an ancient well. Steady and unmoved by anything. Who was this old man? What had driven him to abandon everything and step beyond the world alone? Today, we begin the story of that man. Laozi, the philosopher who spoke the least and left behind the most. Chapter 1, A Man Older Than Records, A Mysterious Birth. Laozi's life is filled with mystery. Even his exact birth year is uncertain. Some records suggest he lived around 600 BCE. Others place him closer to 500 BCE. But the reason for this uncertainty is simple. Laozi himself had no interest in names or fame. And he did not even wish to be recorded by history. If a name becomes known, he believed, freedom is already lost. His original name was Li, written as Li, a name said to have come from his unusually large ears. Some people also called him Lao Dan. And the name Laozi, meaning old master, carries legend. One story says he remained in his mother's womb for 81 years. And when he was finally born, his hair was already white, and his ears unusually long. Of course, it is only myth. But such myths do not appear without reason. From childhood, Laozi seemed different. He was quiet and composed, as if he had already lived a long life. While other children ran and shouted, he observed the natural world. He could sit for a long time and watch water flow. He could spend an entire day watching a tree grow. He could kneel and remain still, in front of a line of ants moving steadily forward. Why do people talk so much? The young Laozi wondered. When words multiply, truth disappears. He grew up loving silence more than speech. Laozi was born in the state of Chu, in an area that corresponds to present-day Henan province. Unlike the northern states of the Central Plains, Chu culture held nature sacred. Mountains, rivers, trees, and wind. They were not merely scenery. They were living forces worthy of reverence. In that world, Laozi naturally learned from nature itself. From the river, he learned. Water flows to the lowest place. It does not compete. Yet it reaches everywhere. From the mountain, he learned. A mountain stands high. But it does not boast. It simply stands. From the clouds, he learned. They have no fixed shape. They drift with the wind. And yet they bring rain. In this way, Laozi learned wisdom. Not from books alone. Not from a single teacher. But from all things. His mother sometimes worried. Her son spoke little. And he did not play like other children. But Laozi was happiest when he was with nature. Chapter 2. The Royal Library of Zhou, the seat that reads the world. When Laozi became a young man, he took a position in the Zhou royal court, the keeper of the royal archives. In other words, the manager of the royal library. For him, it was the perfect place. It was quiet. It was full of books. And it was far from the noisy struggle for power. A place where few interfered. And fewer demanded attention. Each day, he read records of past kings. The histories of war. The rise and collapse of nations. From the stories of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, to the founding of the Zhou dynasty, he read thousands of years of human memory. And within those records, he noticed a pattern. A dynasty ruled by greed collapsed quickly. Just as the tyrants Jia of Xia and Zhou of Shang lost their kingdoms through luxury, oppression, and indulgence, so too did any state that crushed its people eventually fall. But in contrast, the era of rulers who practiced non-forcing, like Yao and Shun, lasted longer. They did not strain to control everything. They allowed people to live and work naturally. The best governance, Laozi realized, is the one that does not cling. But what was Zhou like now? It was already decaying. The authority of the Son of Heaven had weakened. The feudal lords no longer obeyed. The corrupt nobles in the royal court fought each other for power and wealth. The people grew poorer. And war never ended. Laozi saw it all up close. He attended court meetings and listened to ministers argue. We must do this. No, we must do that. They fought with words. But nothing improved. One day, a minister approached Laozi and asked, "Master, please teach us how to restore the country. The people no longer obey. Should we enforce harsher laws?" Laozi shook his head. "Do not try to restore the country," he replied. "That desire is the problem. Look at water. Water does not try to do anything. And yet it carves mountains, pierces rock, and reaches the sea. The more you force, the more things tangle. Let things flow naturally. The more laws you create, the more criminals you produce. The more you forbid, the more people want to do exactly that." The minister left unconvinced, thinking, this old man does not understand reality. But Laozi's words proved true. Zhou continued to decline. The more laws were created, the more chaos spread. And the more the court tried to control, the more the lords resisted. Through these years, Laozi became certain. People do not listen. They want more. They try to control. And that is the root of suffering. At night, Laozi would sit in thought. What am I doing here? In this rotting court? Should I spend my life simply managing books? As time passed, he spoke less and less. People whispered, "Why is that old man so quiet? What does he think about all day?" But Laozi did not care. He believed. When words multiply, truth disappears. Chapter 3. 3 Meetings with Confucius. A dialogue between two philosophers. Slowly, Laozi's name spread. There is a wise old man in the royal library, people said. He knows all of history. He teaches without speaking much. Hearing these rumors, a young scholar came to visit. Confucius, a man in his early 30s. Devoted to ritual and morality. Hoping to restore the order and culture of Zhou. Confucius asked about ritual. Master, how can we revive the rituals of the ancient sages? Should we not restore the systems of music and ceremony established by the Duke of Zhou? Laozi stayed silent for a long time. Then he spoke. The sages you speak of, their bones have already turned to dust. What remains are only words. And even those words have been distorted by time. Confucius was startled. Then what should we follow? He asked. Do you believe ritual is unnecessary? Laozi answered slowly. Do not cling to form. Look to the essence. Ritual once arose naturally, from the heart of mutual respect. But now, only the hard shell remains. No matter how carefully you guard the shell, it has no meaning. Confucius fell into thought. Then Laozi continued. The dragon rises to heaven when the time is right, and hides in the earth when the time is not. It changes its shape. It disappears. You too must know the time. This is not an age of form. It is a time to return to essence. After hearing this, Confucius left deeply moved, and later told his disciples, I know how birds fly, how fish swim, and how beasts run, and therefore I know how they may be caught. But the dragon rides wind and cloud into the sky. I do not know how to grasp it. Today I met Laozi. He is like a dragon. Time passed. Confucius returned again, carrying deeper questions. Master, he said, please teach me about benevolence and righteousness. I have studied them all my life. I believe they are the way to restore the world. Laozi shook his head. The very act of speaking of benevolence and righteousness is already the problem. Confucius was confused. How can you say such a thing? Are they not the most important virtues? Laozi explained. Why do you insist on speaking of them? Because they have already disappeared. When a fish is in water, it does not notice the water. Only when it leaves the water does it miss it. People shout about benevolence and righteousness only because they have vanished. True virtue appears without being spoken. Confucius fell silent. Laozi's words shook the foundation of his beliefs. Then Laozi added, "You have a good heart. But you try too hard. Watch a river. A river does not strain to reach the sea. It simply flows. And yet it reaches the sea." Confucius did not abandon his path. "I will go my way," he said. "I want to correct the world. I want to teach the people." Laozi smiled and nodded. "That is good. Each person has their own path. Walk yours. I will walk mine." Their third meeting came just before Laozi left. Confucius rushed to him and asked, "Master, are you truly leaving?" Laozi nodded. "This world is no longer a place for me." Confucius, with sadness, asked for final words. Laozi thought for a moment and said, "You are a good man, but you try too hard. Do not try to change the world. Change yourself first. Then the world will change on its own. Do not force people to learn. Live the truth yourself. And people will follow." Confucius bowed deeply. They never met again. One went deeper into the world. One stepped out of it. Both were great. But they walked in opposite directions. Chapter 4. The world does not listen. The decision to leave. As the years passed, Laozi became an old man. Well over 80 years of age. And the condition of Zhou grew worse. The royal house lost its remaining power. The lords fought one another. The people suffered through war and poverty. One year, a great war erupted. Countless people died. The fields turned red with blood. Passing through a battlefield, Laozi stopped. He stared for a long time at bodies scattered on the ground. And at crows circling above them. Why do people live like this? He wondered. For what do they fight? For more land? For more power? In the end, only death remains. That night, he could not sleep. Another day, a mother stood before the royal court, crying, "Give me back my son. Give me back my son taken to war." Officials dragged her away. Watching from a window, Laozi's heart ached. "What am I doing here?" he thought. "Am I only managing books? While ignoring this suffering?" But Laozi also knew something else. That even if he stepped forward, it would change nothing. People would not listen. Those in power would still want more. This was a current too strong to stop. "I cannot change the flow," he realized. But I do not need to be swept away by it. That was the moment he decided. I must leave. He chose to abandon everything. And go alone. A few disciples came when they heard. Master, where are you going? To the west, he said. I do not know what lies there. But it must be better than this. I no longer wish to remain in this struggle. They begged him. Are you abandoning us? How can we live without you? Laozi answered gently. I am not abandoning you. I am searching for myself. You too must find your own path. Do not follow me. Follow yourselves. Do not merely remember what I taught. Awaken on your own. They wept. But they could not change his decision. Laozi packed simply. Though he had served in the royal court for decades, he had gathered no wealth. Only a few books and worn clothes. That is enough, he said. He found an old blue ox and mounted its back. The ox was slow. But for Laozi, that was perfect. There is no need to hurry, he thought. I can go slowly. He left without followers. Because that was what he wanted. Alone is easier, he told himself. No quarrels. No pleasing others. No adjusting. As he walked west, he reflected. What have I done all my life? I read books. I studied history. I sometimes offered counsel. But no one listened. People still want more. They still climb higher. Is this human nature? Or is it the result of misguided teaching? The ox walked slowly. Laozi did not rush. He traveled only a few miles each day. Sometimes he would sit by the road, watching a river again, thinking. Water flows to the lowest place, the place people avoid. And because it chooses the low, it accomplishes everything. I too must go to the low place. A place where no one knows my name. After many days, he reached Hangu Pass. He stopped briefly and looked back. Far behind him lay the land of Zhou. The place he had lived his whole life. Filled with memory. But he felt no attachment. Let us go, he said. And guided the ox toward the gate. Chapter 5. The Meeting with Yin Xi. The Birth of the Tao Te Ching. Yin Xi, the keeper of Hangu Pass, was not merely a guard. He was a seeker of the way. A man who watched the stars at night. Practiced meditation. Regulated his breath. And tried to become one with nature. That evening, as he looked into the sky, he felt something unusual. A purple cloud floated in the eastern heavens. Something special will happen today, he thought. This is the sign of a sage arriving. Then he saw an old man riding an ox, approaching the gate. The moment Yin Xi met the old man's eyes, clear and deep, like a silent lake, he knew. This is no ordinary man. He hurried forward and blocked the path. Sir, please wait. May I ask where you are going? To the west. Why are you leaving? Laozi paused, then answered. This world is no longer a place for me. People do not listen. The state is chaotic. War never ends. I want to spend what remains of my life in a quiet place. Yin Xi pleaded. I can see you are a wise man, not an ordinary traveler. You cannot leave like this. You must leave your wisdom behind. Laozi shook his head. What wisdom do I have? He said. I will simply live quietly and leave quietly. The moment wisdom is spoken, it is no longer wisdom. But Yin Xi would not give up. He knelt and begged. Please, I ask you. Write down what you have realized. It will help those who come after. Do not leave empty-handed. Laozi hesitated. Will people understand if I write it? He wondered. The moment the way is spoken, it is no longer the way. How can what cannot be spoken be written into words? But Yin Xi's sincerity moved him. Very well, Laozi said at last. Give me a few days. I will write what I can. Yin Xi led him to a quiet guest house. A room looked out onto the mountains. Paper and brush were prepared. For days, Laozi wrote. He gathered a lifetime of thought and shaped it into language. How can I write so that people understand? How can I write so they do not misunderstand? He struggled, again and again. Sometimes he wrote one line and spent the whole day thinking. Sometimes he wrote and erased, then wrote again. Ah, he sighed. This cannot truly be expressed in words. And yet, he continued. At last, a text of 5,000 characters was complete. What later generations would call the Tao Te Ching. Laozi handed it to Yin Xi. This is all I can do, he said. I cannot express more than this. The reader must awaken for themselves. Yin Xi received it with trembling hands and opened to the first line. The way that can be spoken is not the eternal way. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. A shiver ran through him. He read further. The highest goodness is like water. Water benefits all things and does not compete. It stays in the places people dislike, and therefore it is close to the way. Yin Xi struck his knee. So that is it, he whispered. To live like water. He read the next line. By non-forcing, nothing is left undone. For days, he read the text again and again. And each time, a new meaning appeared. Master, Yin Xi said. This is a treasure of humankind. It will be passed down forever. Laozi replied calmly. Treasure or not, it has left my hands. If people wish to read it, they will read it. If they do not, they will not. Those who understand will understand. Those who do not will not. Now, I will leave. Yin Xi asked one more question. If you go west, where will you go? Laozi smiled. I do not know. Where the road takes me. That is something heaven knows. Perhaps I will live the rest of my days quietly in the mountains. Yin Xi bowed deeply. I will carry your teaching in my heart. I will protect this book and pass it to those who come after. Laozi mounted the ox again and passed through the gate. Yin Xi watched until the old man vanished from sight. Chapter 6. Vanishing into Mystery. The Final Journey. After leaving Hangu Pass, Laozi's path disappears from the record. No one knows where he went. No one knows when he died. History falls silent. Some legends claim he traveled to India and met the founder of Buddhism. Even that he taught the Buddha. Others say he became an immortal, living in a cave deep in the western mountains, until he ascended to the heavens. Others believe he lived quietly in an unknown village, hiding his name, dying as an ordinary old man. No one knows the truth. But perhaps Laozi wanted it that way. The one who leaves does not leave a trace. As he wrote in his own text, he vanished without footprint or monument. No grand funeral. No magnificent tomb. No recorded grief of disciples. Only silence. Like wind passing through a valley. And yet, what he left behind remained. 5,000 characters. A small book. A quiet voice. Yin Xi preserved it and shared it. At first, only a few seekers read it. But with time, more and more people did. The Tao Te Ching spread slowly. Quietly. Like water. It became a foundational text for Taoist tradition. It was revered by emperors. It inspired countless commentaries. Through Han, Tang, Song, Ming, and Qing. Even after more than 2,500 years, it is still read. It has been translated into many languages across the world. Laozi did not abandon people. He only abandoned the secular world. Fame, power, praise, and recognition. He left those behind. But the way remained. People still ask, was Laozi a real person? Or a figure of legend? Scholars still debate it. But perhaps that is not the most important question. Whether he was real or not. The Tao Te Ching exists. And its teaching is alive. And that is enough. Chapter 7. Laozi's Legacy. Living with less. Living with depth. What was Laozi trying to tell us? Even after more than 2,500 years, his teaching still feels relevant. And the older we become, the deeper it reaches. First, the principle of non-forcing. It means do not strain. When we are young, we believe we must always do more, earn more, rise higher, prove ourselves. But as we age, we learn that the harder we force, the more life becomes tangled. Laozi says, by non-forcing, nothing is left undone. Look at water. It makes no effort, yet it carves mountains and reaches the sea. Look at a tree. It does not rush to grow. It simply receives sunlight and rain, and slowly becomes great. People are the same, especially as we age. Do not rush. Do not strain. Flow naturally. Second, the life that knows what is enough. To know contentment is to be truly rich. Modern life whispers constantly. More. Bigger. Better. Faster. When we are young, we chase it. A bigger house. A better car. More expensive things. But with age, we realize those things do not create happiness. Laozi says, the one who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. To have little but feel content is wealth. To have much but feel unsatisfied is poverty. True wealth is not in possessions. It is in the heart. Third, the wisdom of choosing the low place. Rivers and seas become the kings of streams because they remain low. When we are young, we want high places, high status, high recognition, high praise. But as we grow older, we learn the low place is often safer, calmer, and freer. The high place catches the strongest wind first. The low place gathers all waters. As life lowers us, as we retire, as children leave, as the body grows weaker, it is not necessarily tragedy. In lowering, we may finally rest. We no longer need to prove, compete, or win. Fourth, the power of softness. The softest thing under heaven overcomes the hardest. Water is soft, yet it wears down stone. The tongue is soft, yet the teeth, hard as they are, fall first. Laozi says, what is hard breaks easily. What is soft endures. With age, we must become softer. When we are young, we think strength means refusing to bend. But wisdom is different. Look at bamboo. When snow falls, it bows and does not break. The pine stands stiff and breaks under weight. In families, it is the same. When opinions differ, do not cling stubbornly. Bend gently. That is real strength. Fifth, the wisdom of speaking less. The one who knows does not speak. The one who speaks does not know. Laozi valued silence. The more we speak, the more we slip. The more we speak, the more truth becomes diluted. As we age, we accumulate stories and opinions. We want to correct, advise, lecture. But sometimes, silence is the greater teaching. Do not scold your grandchildren. Do not lecture your children. Simply be there, quietly. That alone can be enough. Sixth, the wisdom of emptiness. The sage does not hoard. The more he gives, the more he has. As we grow older, we have many things to let go of. Attachment to children. Greed for property. Fear about health. The need for recognition. Laozi says, "The more you empty your hands, the freer you become." This may be his greatest gift, especially for those in the second half of life. Do not strain. Live naturally. Be content. Choose the low place. Be soft. Speak less. Let go. And peace will come. Epilogue, the wind of Hangu Pass. We return to the sunset at Hangu Pass. The old ox walks. Step by step. Slowly, steadily. Laozi sits on its back. His white beard moving in the wind. His eyes fixed forward. The gate grows distant behind him. The western sky burns red. He does not look back. The past is already gone. The future has not yet arrived. Only this moment is real. Laozi smiles. This is enough. He owned little, yet lacked nothing. He never climbed to a high seat, yet was freer than anyone. Only the sound of the ox's steps remains. Slow, unhurried. As he moves into the sunset. Into mystery. Into eternity. But his words remain. The way that can be spoken is not the eternal way. The highest goodness is like water. By non-forcing, nothing is left undone. To know contentment is to be rich. Even after more than 2,500 years, these words still echo. The world is still busy. People still run. Faster, higher, more. But as we grow older, we learn that running has no end. So we must stop. We must listen. Pause, the voice seems to say. Breathe. You are already enough. What you have is enough. What you have lived is enough. Do not strain. Flow naturally. Enjoy this moment. The wind still blows at Hangu Pass. And in that wind, Laozi's voice can still be heard. He did not speak much. Yet his silence has echoed for centuries. Today. Tomorrow. Forever. Even inside your own heart. Live naturally. You are already enough. You are complete.